The forgotten dishes of Thanksgiving hold more history than most people realize, and today we are bringing them back into focus. For decades, families prepared recipes that carried tradition, comfort, and meaning, yet many of those dishes have quietly disappeared from modern tables. Their absence leaves a gap in the story of how American holidays once felt and how they shaped the rhythm of home life. In this video, we will revisit the dishes that defined Grandma's Thanksgiving, each one a reminder of the flavors that once gave this holiday its depth. These recipes reveal how families cooked, celebrated, and created memories that lasted long after the meal ended. Every dish in this list matters, and each one adds a missing piece to a tradition that deserves to be remembered. Stay with me until the end, because these forgotten Thanksgiving dishes tell a story that can only be understood when the full picture is complete. Roast goose. Before turkey became the centerpiece of Thanksgiving, roast goose was the star of the American holiday table. This dish traveled across the Atlantic with European immigrants, particularly German, Scandinavian, and British families, and it symbolized prosperity, skill, and tradition. Preparing a roast goose required patience, precision, and respect for the ingredients. The cook would carefully clean the bird, pricking the skin with a fork to ensure that the fat rendered evenly. This process created a crisp, golden exterior while keeping the meat tender and flavorful. The cavity of the goose was traditionally stuffed with apples, onions, and sage, releasing aromatic steam as it roasted for 3 to 4 hours. Periodically, the bird was basted with its own fat, intensifying the richness of the meat and producing a valuable supply of goose fat for frying potatoes or preserving other foods. Families regarded roast goose as more than a meal. It was a statement of pride and resourcefulness. The bird's natural flavor was unmatched by turkey, and serving it reflected both culinary skill and adherence to old-world traditions. Children remembered the first slice, the crackling skin, and the way the kitchen smelled as the holiday drew near. Adults recalled the careful steps, the preparation of every side dish, and the shared labor that transformed cooking into ceremony. Today, roast goose has nearly vanished from American Thanksgiving tables, yet it carries a legacy worth remembering. It represents a time when holiday meals were a reflection of family, heritage, and attention to detail. By bringing this dish back into conversation, we honor the flavors and stories that shaped Thanksgiving for generations past. Cornbread dressing with giblet gravy. Cornbread dressing with giblet gravy was once the soul of Thanksgiving in American kitchens. Unlike simple stuffing, this dish combined humble ingredients with careful technique, producing a flavor that became the centerpiece of the holiday meal. Its foundation was a day-old cornbread, crumbled by hand just dry enough to absorb every drop of broth. This cornbread provided texture, flavor, and warmth, making the dressing more than a side dish, it was comfort on a plate. The true magic came from the giblet gravy. Prepared from the heart, neck, and liver of the turkey, the giblets were simmered slowly to create a rich, silky sauce. This gravy transformed ordinary dressing into a dish of depth and substance. Every household that mastered this technique demonstrated resourcefulness and skill, showing that no part of the bird was wasted. Families often passed down this recipe through handwritten cookbooks or church recipe exchanges, and it became a rite of passage for young cooks learning to serve a proper Thanksgiving table. In many homes, the aroma of cornbread dressing simmering in the kitchen was inseparable from the holiday itself. Children would gather nearby, waiting for the first spoonful, while elders recalled generations of tradition. Each bite carried the history of families adapting to scarcity, making the most of available ingredients, and creating meals that nurtured both body and spirit. Though modern Thanksgiving tables rarely feature cornbread dressing with giblet gravy, the dish remains a symbol of ingenuity and care. Its flavors tell the story of an era when every holiday meal was deliberate, crafted with attention, and shared with love. Remembering it allows us to reconnect with the practices, tastes, and emotions that once defined American Thanksgiving. Cornish game hens with rice stuffing. In the mid-20th century, as smaller families became more common, Cornish game hens emerged as an elegant alternative to the traditional turkey. These individual birds provided both practicality and visual appeal, allowing each diner to enjoy a perfectly roasted portion. Developed commercially in the 1950s, Cornish game hens brought a touch of refinement to the Thanksgiving table, combining convenience with the ceremonial feel of a whole bird. Each hen was carefully prepared, often stuffed with a seasoned rice pilaf. The rice was mixed with ingredients such as mushrooms, almonds, and occasionally dried fruits like raisins or apricots. This combination created a rich, layered flavor that complemented the delicate meat of the bird. Roasting was faster than preparing a turkey, usually around 45 minutes at high temperature, which allowed the skin to become crisp while keeping the interior tender. The dish was designed for efficiency without sacrificing the impression of abundance. Families embraced Cornish game hens for their practicality and presentation. Unlike the large communal turkey, these birds allowed each person to have an individualized serving, which fit the evolving suburban lifestyle of the 1960s and 1970s. Serving them demonstrated care, attention to detail, and an understanding of modern holiday dining trends. Though they are rarely seen on contemporary Thanksgiving tables, Cornish game hens with rice stuffing represent a period of transition. They reflect a shift from grand feasts to more manageable, stylish celebrations. Remembering this dish preserves the history of family adaptations and culinary innovation. Each bite tells a story of tradition, evolution, and the continued desire to create memorable holiday meals. Creamed pearl onions. Creamed pearl onions were a hallmark of Thanksgiving tables in mid-century America, often regarded as a symbol of the home cook's skill and patience. This dish required meticulous preparation, beginning with the careful peeling of each tiny snow-white onion by hand. For families preparing dozens of servings, this task alone demanded time, precision, and dedication, making the dish a demonstration of both effort and care. Once peeled, the onions were blanched briefly to remove any harshness and then simmered gently in a cream-based sauce. The sauce was typically enriched with butter, a touch of flour to achieve the proper consistency, and sometimes a hint of nutmeg or white pepper. The result was a smooth, velvety coating that complemented the natural sweetness of the onions. Unlike ordinary vegetable sides, creamed pearl onions combined elegance and flavor, making them a dish that could hold its own among heavier mains and stuffing. In many households, creamed pearl onions were not merely a side dish, they were a rite of passage. Grandmothers taught younger cooks the importance of careful peeling, gentle simmering, and proper seasoning, ensuring that the dish maintained its reputation for refinement. Its presence on the table signaled both culinary competence and a commitment to tradition. Today, creamed pearl onions have largely disappeared from contemporary Thanksgiving celebrations, replaced by quicker, more convenient options. Yet this dish represents a connection to a time when every component of a holiday meal was intentional and meaningful. The labor-intensive preparation reflected the values of patience, resourcefulness, and pride in craftsmanship. By remembering creamed pearl onions, we honor the techniques, flavors, and dedication of families who once transformed simple ingredients into a memorable celebration. Their story reminds us that every dish carries not only taste but the legacy of those who prepared it with care. Succotash casserole. Succotash casserole was a familiar and comforting dish on many Thanksgiving tables during the early and mid-20th century. This dish celebrated the abundance of the harvest, combining corn, lima beans, and sometimes bell peppers or tomatoes into a warm, creamy casserole. Its vibrant colors and simple preparation made it both visually appealing and hearty, reflecting the seasonal ingredients that were widely available to American families. The preparation of succotash casserole required care and balance. Fresh or canned lima beans were cooked just until tender, while corn kernels were gently sautéed to retain sweetness and texture. Additional vegetables were sometimes added, along with a creamy binder made from milk, butter, or a simple roux. Seasonings were minimal, often salt, pepper, and occasionally a touch of sugar or herbs, allowing the natural flavors of the vegetables to shine. Once mixed, the casserole was baked until lightly golden on top, creating a dish that was both simple and elegant. Succotash casserole was more than a side dish, it represented tradition, practicality, and celebration of the harvest. Many families prepared it in large batches to feed extended gatherings, and it was a dish that allowed cooks to use fresh produce efficiently. In church cookbooks and home economics manuals, succotash was frequently recommended as a nutritious, economical, and visually appealing accompaniment to the Thanksgiving main course. Today, succotash casserole is rarely seen on contemporary holiday tables. Remembering this dish highlights how Americans once celebrated the season through dishes that combined flavor, color, and resourcefulness. It reflects the values of thrift, care, and creativity in the kitchen, while offering a connection to a time when every Thanksgiving side carried both meaning and taste. Ambrosia salad. Ambrosia salad was once a staple on many Thanksgiving tables, a dessert that combined freshness, sweetness, and visual charm. Its origin traces back to early 20th century cookbooks, where it was celebrated as a luxurious yet simple way to conclude a holiday meal. The dish earned its name from mythology, suggesting it was fit for gods, and in American homes, it became a symbol of celebration and indulgence. The preparation of ambrosia salad required attention to detail, though it was considered accessible for home cooks. The traditional recipe combined citrus segments, such as oranges and grapefruits, with shredded coconut, and occasionally added pineapple or maraschino cherries for sweetness and color. Miniature marshmallows or sweetened cream were often folded in to create a light, fluffy texture that balanced the acidity of the fruit. Some families added nuts or a dash of grated lemon zest, enhancing both flavor and aroma. Once prepared, the salad was chilled to allow the ingredients to melt, resulting in a refreshing, vibrant dish that contrasted with heavier Thanksgiving sides. Ambrosia salad held both cultural and emotional significance. It was frequently passed down through family cookbooks, with each household adding its own small variations. The dish represented celebration, abundance, and the joy of presentation, often served in glass bowls that showcased its colorful layers. Children remembered its sweetness and texture, while adults recalled the ritual of preparing it with care for guests. Though it has largely disappeared from modern holiday tables, ambrosia salad remains a symbol of mid-century Thanksgiving traditions. Remembering it provides insight into how families balanced flavor, aesthetics, and practicality, creating dishes that were as visually appealing as they were meaningful. Each spoonful tells the story of creativity, care, and the shared enjoyment of a holiday meal. Cranberry mold salad. Cranberry mold salad was once a signature dish on many mid-century Thanksgiving tables. Its striking appearance and bright, tart flavor made it a centerpiece alongside turkey and other holiday sides. Popular in the 1940s through the 1960s, this dish reflected both the culinary trends of the time and the influence of gelatin-based foods in American cooking. The preparation of cranberry mold salad required attention to both texture and presentation. Fresh or canned cranberries were cooked with sugar to create a sweet tart base. The mixture was then combined with gelatin, often flavored with orange or lemon zest, to create a firm, wobbly consistency. Additional ingredients, such as crushed pineapple, chopped nuts, or diced apples, were sometimes folded in to add sweetness, texture, and visual contrast. Once poured into a decorative mold, the mixture was chilled until fully set, producing a dish that was both festive and elegant. Cranberry mold salad held cultural and emotional significance. Families took pride in achieving the perfect set and smooth finish, often displaying the mold prominently on the table. The dish represented creativity, patience, and the ability to transform simple ingredients into something extraordinary. Children admired its vibrant color and playful texture, while adults appreciated the skill involved in its preparation. Over time, cranberry mold salad fell out of favor, replaced by simpler cranberry sauces and other modern desserts. Yet it remains a symbol of a culinary era that valued presentation, care, and ingenuity. Remembering this dish reconnects us to the traditions, aesthetics, and tastes of mid-century Thanksgiving. Each slice tells a story of family effort, seasonal abundance, and the desire to create a memorable holiday meal that was as visually impressive as it was flavorful. Brown bread with molasses, 300 words. Brown bread with molasses was once a staple on Thanksgiving tables, valued for its hearty texture, subtle sweetness, and long shelf life. This traditional bread reflected both practicality and flavor, originating from New England and popularized across American households during the 19th and early 20th centuries. Molasses provided natural sweetness, a deep color, and richness that distinguished it from lighter breads, while whole wheat or rye flour gave it a robust, satisfying texture. The preparation of brown bread required careful attention to balance. Flour, molasses, milk or water, and a leavening agent were combined to create a smooth, slightly dense batter. In many traditional recipes, the bread was baked in a loaf pan lined with parchment or steamed in a cloth to retain moisture. This technique ensured a soft interior while developing a thin, caramelized crust. Some families added ingredients such as cornmeal, raisins, or nuts to enhance flavor and texture. Brown bread with molasses held significance beyond taste. It symbolized thrift, resourcefulness, and a connection to local ingredients. Families prized this bread for its ability to complement a variety of dishes, from savory meats to sweet accompaniments. Its preparation required skill and timing, making it a point of pride for the home cook. The scent of molasses in baking bread often became associated with the warmth of the holiday kitchen, creating memories that lingered long after the meal ended. Although this bread is rarely seen on modern Thanksgiving tables, it represents an era when meals were both nourishing and intentional. Remembering brown bread with molasses allows us to appreciate the resourcefulness, flavor, and tradition that defined past generations. Each slice carries not only taste but the history of families who valued both practicality and the joy of sharing a carefully prepared holiday meal. Turkey hash. Turkey hash was once a practical and cherished dish on Thanksgiving tables, created from the leftovers of the holiday feast. In a time before refrigeration and modern convenience foods, families sought ways to stretch the abundance of the meal while transforming it into something flavorful and satisfying. Turkey hash provided a second celebration of the holiday, offering warmth, sustenance, and a comforting sense of continuity. The preparation of turkey hash required both skill and creativity. Leftover roasted turkey was chopped into small pieces, while vegetables such as onions, carrots, and potatoes were diced and sautéed in butter or rendered turkey fat. Seasonings were added to taste, often including salt, pepper, and herbs like thyme or parsley. In some households, the mixture was bound with a light gravy or thickened with flour to create a cohesive, hearty dish. The hash was then fried or baked until golden brown, producing a combination of crispy edges and tender interior that appealed to every diner. Turkey hash was more than a method of using leftovers, it was a tradition. Families passed down their versions of the recipe, each reflecting regional preferences, seasonal vegetables, and the creative instincts of the cook. It became a symbol of thriftiness and ingenuity, demonstrating the ability to honor the original meal while producing something entirely new. Children often anticipated this dish with excitement, enjoying its savory flavor in the days following Thanksgiving. Although rarely featured on contemporary holiday menus, turkey hash carries a story of resourcefulness, family care, and culinary creativity. Remembering this dish reconnects us to the practices and values that shape Thanksgiving meals for generations. Each serving tells the tale of families who treasured both flavor and frugality, creating memories from the meals they prepared with love and intention. And there it is, 10 forgotten Thanksgiving dishes that once brought warmth, flavor, and tradition to American tables. From the golden roast goose to turkey hash, each recipe tells a story of family, resourcefulness, and the care that shaped every holiday meal. These dishes were more than food, they were memories, passed down through generations, quietly preserving the spirit of Thanksgiving. By remembering them, we honor the creativity and dedication of those who prepared the meals, and we invite these flavors back into our own kitchens and hearts. Perhaps this year, you will bring one of these lost classics to your table, connecting with history bite by bite. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories behind America's culinary past, make sure to subscribe to America's Lost Recipes. Together, we can continue to rediscover the flavors, traditions, and stories that time almost forgot.